Well, I mean, not that there's any better way to start the podcast than that. So we're just going to go from there. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Two Trolls in a Brew. 108. Happy post Turkey Day. I'm Samus. The giggly man is, of course, Travis, and the Slivers playing poker is once again our money guy, Sean. Sean, thanks for joining us this week.
Hey, thanks for letting me come on.
Subtitle this week: Mean People and Other Bullshit. Before we get too deep in other things, we're just gonna hit the troll card. I picked Prying Blade this week. It's like a common, I think. I'm picking one up now. It's a common from Ixalan. Costs 1 mana. Equipped creature gets +1/+0, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you get a treasure token. Equipped for 2. I've kind of poo-pooed this card for a while. I don't know. Have you guys had a chance to play with this in anything yet? Like a draft
just a draft.
So I drafted 2 of them this week because we had like a light table. So I ended up taking like 4 colors or 5 colors worth of cards. They didn't all make the main deck, but I figured there was a chance that I might need it. So I took these 2 Prime Blades, not like super early, but I think early in pack 2 and maybe 1 relatively early in pack 3. And that was really impressive. Like, it did a lot of work for me. I probably got 3 or 4 treasures out of this thing just by like equipping just like a random one, like a Sailor Means or whatever. Like making that guy into a 2/4. Nobody wants to block it because nobody wants to have their Sailor or a Sailor Means kill like their precious 2/2. So it made a lot of mana for me this week. And had I not and this card actually cost me first place. I got greedy and I played the monster sword, the dinosaur, and I had, if I hit with the Prying Blade, I would have had enough mana the next turn to cast 3 spells. And my opponent, I was at 7 life. My opponent had 3 damage showing. And I was like, well, I can attack with my monster sword and equip the Prying Blade, or I could just keep up the bounce spell in case something weird happens. And he had already flashed me a couple of times that +3/+0 and first strike card. I forget what it's called. So I knew he had 3 points of damage, but I figured the worst thing he could do is put me to 1 with the damage he had on the table and that card. Turns out he also had that 2/1 haste creature that came from nowhere and killed me. Yeah, so had I not equipped this thing to get greedy to cast 3 spells the next turn, I could have just kept the removal spell up. But because I did get greedy, I lost the match and did not take first place this week's draft. So bummer. But otherwise, I think the card probably won me more than I lost. And like I said, it generated probably at least its casting cost and equip cost at least 2 games. So it made at least 3 mana for me. And I don't know about you guys, but in Ixalan draft, there's not a lot of 1-drops I want to play. So if I drop this thing on curve, it just felt real good.
Yeah, I drafted it once or twice online.
Did you get good results out of it, the equipment?
No, I haven't played the equipment. I played one of the other ones that makes like plant tokens, but then if it flips, it's like a Gaia's Cradle.
Okay, I feel like
I haven't played
a
the one
different one. But
Dowsing Dagger.
Dowsing Dagger, but it doesn't flip into a Gaia's Cradle, does it? Flips into like Maze of Ith?
It flips into no, the Dowsing Dagger flips into what you call it? Black Lotus.
Oh, okay.
I played that one. That's the only one I played. It was pretty lackluster too.
Yeah, I still feel like the best one is Treasure Map. I'd rather play Treasure Map over pretty much any of them. But for a non-flip one, I think this guy's pretty good. I've kind of got into the Pirate Dagger. I can't remember what it's called. But
The Cutlass?
The Cutlass. So for 3 mana, you can equip it the first time for free. I've been using a lot of it, and I think because I've been using it so much that it's gone up at our local tables. So it has dried up really quickly. But then the prying blade, I think, is something that other people used a lot of early, and they didn't get a lot of love out of. So I don't know. I found it to be pretty good, mostly because we were down. I think we had 6 people drafting, or maybe 7 people drafting. So we didn't have all the packs that you normally would have. But what can you say? Thanksgiving weekend, right? Like, make do with what you can.
It's Wizards' fault.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first of all, again, happy post-Thanksgiving. I know it's my favorite holiday. Travis, if I remember right, it's yours too.
Oh, yeah. Fat people.
That's right. Fat people holiday, baby. Woo! So real quick, what magic thing are you guys all, like, thankful for? Like, I'm going to say a draft. Like, I love a good draft.
Sealed.
Okay, good.
Sealed is still
I
my
like
favorite.
anything in limited. I like. I did a couple iconic Masters drafts online, and it was pretty fun.
Sweet. Well, let's jump right into that then. So I only have a couple of shown. Actually, one more thing before we get into the thick of it. As you may have noticed, this is 108. Apparently, I forgot to post 107. I've been having some migraine issues the last couple of weeks, and apparently that just slipped through the cracks, and I totally wet the bed on that. So I apologize. So that means this week there'll be 107 and 108 will get posted, probably like fairly closely together. So I apologize for that. I don't know what happened, but that means you get twice as many shows this week.
That's a double castation.
I know it. I wish I knew what the hell was going on. All right, so to set this thing up, I was at the game shop, the arena, on Friday, doing the usual stuff, and talking with Todd, hanging out, doing some things. And Sean walks in, and we start talking about what the hell is going on with WotC and why they seem to want to murder our game. And I thought Sean had a lot of really good comments, and I noticed, like, Sean was posting this survey information, linking it around to all the Facebook groups, just trying to get people to take notice and fill it out and maybe get some feedback to Wizards. So, Sean, why don't you, I don't know, take the lead on this for a little bit and tell us your thoughts on what the hell Wizards is fucking doing.
Well, they just too many sets too fast. Even the people that have a disposable income are getting away from buying it or not buying as much because most of the stuff they just keep reprinting really quickly. And then, your younger kids that want to play, your high school kids and middle school kids and maybe college students too, they don't have a lot of disposable income. So they can't afford hardly anything. So most of those players are actually casual players now that just play Commander because they can keep their Commander decks for the most part, where stuff doesn't get banned and rotated out and all that other stuff. So I guess that's some of it is just too many sets, too many things, too many deck box sets, too many. Todd had said Rivals of Ixalan. No one's even bought one yet. He's got a bunch of them. So
yeah, he said that because that's that little board game thing, Explorers of Ixalan, I think is what he's talking about.
Yep.
Yeah,
it looked fun, but I mean, they're releasing that with 3 other things at the same time.
Right. He's been. I think 100% of those have sold online versus in the shop. No one's bought it. I don't know. Like, I agree. There's just been too much stuff. And I think they, with the old rotation that they had in place, kind of hung out a little long. And so people are kind of off standard in general.
Well, yeah, standard rotation, like, what, 2 or 3 times within the last maybe 2 years?
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a cluster trying to figure out how they can balance this high manufacturing plus quick rotation. Because I think they're really listening to, like, the pros when it comes to, like, their Twitter comments and stuff like that. I feel like they really are paying attention to the pulse, but then they're not really talking to the people who aren't super active on Twitter or super high profile. Like, you had mentioned that a survey floated around a couple of weeks ago. I got it too, and but most of the people in our shop didn't get one. You know, and they certainly haven't sent me as a representative of my shop or anyone at the shop, like some information, some information gathering stuff to kind of like see how it is on the front lines. And as a guy who lives on that front line, it's rough right now. A lot of our Friday Night Magics are fine.
It's hard for the stores to make money too. I'm surprised that like a lot of the stores are even selling Magic anymore because the margins are low, and then when a new set comes out, they have to. Wizards Play Network makes it to where all these stores they have to do a certain amount of volume to get promos and from the vaults boxes and iconic masters. They're only allotted so much based on their volume and what they do on like standard sets. So like Ixalan and Hour and stuff like that. And so a lot of the stores online are moving their product to eBay and TCG Player or wherever they can sell it at, and selling it at even a lower margin just to recoup their money and a little bit of profit. So that way they can keep their orders high to keep their Wizards Play Network status, to get their promos and their all those things. And so like you can get it's killing a lot of local game stores because the local game stores have to go move the product online at a lower margin because they can't afford it sitting on the shelves. And you can get, right now, I can get you Iconic Masters booster boxes for $149 shipped in the continental U.S., which is cheaper than pretty much any local game store in the country.
Yeah, I mean, the arena typically has the lowest prices around. And like for Black Friday and stuff, I saw all these other game shops talking about their Black Friday prices. And not to talk down on other shops or anything, but they were coming down to our everyday prices. Right, which kind of shows you where like the arena lives compared to some other shops in Kansas, and outside of Kansas as well. And we just can't get this stuff to turn over. So then, if you have some people that are even close to trying to look for the margins, or maybe they don't have quite as much store loyalty built in, you go online. Like you said, you're saving $50. Somebody is just rack-a-dacking over there.
I mean, that's gonna be Travis.
That's what happens when my phone won't let me turn off notifications.
Travis, turn off your mic.
Travis and technology hasn't worked out yet so far.
But that's the shitty part for the stores. So that's just shitty part for the stores. The shitty part for the consumer or the customers is they print too much stuff. So it's like a double negative. It's a negative for the store, then a negative for the consumer, the player. And like you said, they listen to all the, the top pros and all the people that do the social media and stuff that they're actually paying to do stuff for them. But listening to the little guy, the guy that only spends $10 a week on Magic because that's all they can afford because they're in high school.
Right.
I bet you there's way more of those players.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. There's probably 10,000 of those players spending their $10 a week at a draft every week because they love it, as opposed to the pros that where, there was the biggest pro tour, this last pro tour in a long time. There's like 450 people.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
and those guys, a lot of those guys get paid to play. So like their own agendas are different than somebody that just plays the game for fun or right. tries to play the game competitively, and they're just getting into it or whatever.
Right. It's a totally different world. But something you mentioned to me that I never really thought about was you were talking about the card stock and the print quality is really shifted lately. Some corners have been cut.
Changed it. Which set was it? They changed it. I don't remember if it was Kaladesh or Ether Reborn. They changed the card stock of the cards. And they first did trial runs on it on the Japanese and I think Korean language booster packs, like even a couple sets prior to that where the card stock's a little bit slicker and thinner and they bend and scratch easier.
Yeah,
and they'll warp easier too. Like if you're sitting out in your car and it's hot outside, they're gonna bend quicker.
So like, for example, Monday, Remington and I were putting some decks together to try, which we may get into a little bit later, depending on the length of this show. But like, I was putting this deck together, and And Remington's like, oh, we need 4 of this card. So I start going through and I found them. He's like, this one's warped. I'm like, okay. And I don't remember what it is. Some rare from the new set. Let's just pretend it was Vizier of Many Faces, right? So I hand him one. He goes, this one's really warped really bad. So I pull out another one out of my binder and hand it to him. He's like, this one's really warped too. And we go through like 3 of them before we found one that he decided was not warped to be the point where it would be a marked card in the sleeve. And these are things sitting in a binder in my house.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them you can open up straight up out of a pack, and they've got a slight curvature to them now too.
Well, and that's when it dawned on me from what you were talking about on Friday. It's like, yeah, I am seeing this stuff, because usually you put something in a binder, and you for me, for example, the newest set's on the top of the binder. But so it could be relatively high on the stack. But normally, you've got a lot of cards pushing down on it, on every card above it. And that usually keeps relatively straight. So to pull a card out of a binder sleeve and have it be warped is really shocking to me. And I have noticed, in fact, the last draft we had, everyone at the table had essentially a marked card if they were not sleeving their cards, because they came out of the packs with a notch.
So take a new card and then compare it to like an Origins card, or something just even a little older than that, like Return to Ravnica or something. I bet you they trimmed a couple centimeters off the cardstock to save money. But now all the cards are junk.
Well, I don't know about centimeters. I'd give you millimeters, maybe.
Yeah, millimeters, whatever, because they're not very thick at all. I mean, but they trimmed some off of it. You can tell, just like if you bend the cards, like take an Origins card versus a new card and look at them.
Yeah, I know Travis is fiddling with it now, so I'm gonna lock him in and see if he can.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at different, like Kaladesh and again Ether Revolt, and even Ixalan cards right now, and there's some, I never really paid attention to it because it was never an issue to me, but I can, separate them, and I can easily just by looking at it, I know that this is different from so this Glassblower's Puzzle Knot is different from Pentap Prism just by the overall curve of the cards.
Right. And if you imagine the situation where so like our last PPTQ, I think, or maybe it's one before that, Joey, who runs Goblin Games in Manhattan, came down for the tournament, and the only copy of something that he could find was a foil. And so he's shuffling in his deck, but he's like, man, I think I have a marked card. And he was able to pull out one of the copies of the card, but it wasn't the foil version. It was just another one, if I remember right, that was bent. And he's like, I'm going to need a Judge Proxy, but not for the foil that I put in my deck, but for the regular version, because it's just so badly warped or whatever. Like, that was insane to me.
Yeah, that's crazy, because usually your foils bend quicker and easier because they have, a different layer on top of the card.
Right. Well, I just mean he had 3 copies of the card, tried to find the 4th version, and when he found the 4th one and put it in, and he was shuffling, he noticed that he had a bend. He's like, oh, well, it must be this foil being a problem. And it wasn't it. I was like, geez.
It was a non-foil, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. The value of these Magic cards long term, I wonder where they're going to do. You had talked about, you had the feeling that WotC was going to have to post a loss for this quarter, and that might shake things up next quarter or the quarter after.
Not a loss, because they'll still always make money, but a year-over-year decline. So, last year, they're going to do less in sales this year than they did last year, which is a quarter or a year-over-year loss.
Yeah,
but they'll still make.
I agree. I misspoke there. Not necessarily a quarter loss, but a decline for sure. And what will that do? Hasbro is ramping up to buy what, Mattel?
Yeah.
And I think that that's been in the works for a while, and that's probably why they're whipping WotC to generate some additional monies right now. And this could all be conspiracy theories, so take it with a grain of salt, guys. But it's just my vibe that I'm kind of getting from the way things have been pushed. And also, Hasbro in the past has bought cards, not necessarily card games, but like sports cards, and then just printed printed them right to death. And I'm afraid that that could be a Wizards thing. Like it could very easily be something that happens to Magic. Like it already felt like that's what happened to 4th edition D&D. Like it was rushed out, overprinted, nobody liked it. Boom, here's the 5th edition.
Wow.
And I think all of that push was, I don't think it was necessarily primarily driven by Hasbro, but I feel like a lot of it was. And now, since then, we've got all these Magic changes because you know that they're like a year or 2 or 3 in advance on some of this R&D
I think it's
projects.
2 years.
So they're getting pushed back on a lot of this stuff that, and I think they're being whipped into shape from what Hasbro wants to do. And I mean, Travis and I have talked about it a lot. I don't think this is the right way to go. And I'm not even sure if paper Magic or digital Magic or what's going to be a reasonable investment. I've got piles of cards sitting behind me that I was planning on cashing out in the next year or two and buying a bus and renovating the bus and getting the heck out of Dodge. Now half of my collection's been cut in half because of these reprints.
Yeah, the thing that makes me mad is like, so the from the vault, I didn't buy any, and I wouldn't buy any, just because the foiling sucks on those cards. A lot of people like them, but you get scratched up easier. But like they just reprinted Archangel Avacyn, and that was only like 4 sets ago. It was new, so like they just reprinted a card that had just been printed. There's a bunch of other ones. They reprinted all the Origins Planeswalkers, completely annihilated the price of anything in that set. I don't know. And then we just had Commander. Like one of the other things I noticed is in Iconic Masters, they printed a whole bunch of dragons to do a dragons thing, which is awesome. Like everyone who doesn't like dragons, right? But half the dragons they reprinted in Iconic Masters were just in the Commander deck. It just doesn't make any sense. Like why? I mean, like I understand needing to reprint stuff, like say Glimpse the Unthinkable they reprinted because it hadn't been reprinted since Ravnica, and a lot of casual players and mill deck players like that card, but it was like $30, $40 a piece. And now it's like a more reasonable $10 or $8 or whatever it is now printed. But it hadn't been reprinted in like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years, something like that. And then a lot of the other stuff they're reprinted is like a year ago.
Yeah, and I think that when they decided to get rid of the core set, they had made that announcement that they were going to start reprinting things more frequently to make sure that the availability was high, like things that would go in a core set. So I could understand certain things, but I just like an Avacyn, like you would not put that in a core set.
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
I mean, you could, but like the stuff that they reprint in core sets is like Brushland and some of the lands and like elves and stuff like that. Not a bunch of rares, but like good stuff.
Yeah, I mean they do that, but they also they tend to put the same kind of rares in the core sets. Like you almost always have a clone. You almost always have Nightmare or something like that. So they put these like key historical cards typically in a core set, and then sometimes they'll go out of their way to make a really, really good core set like Origins, which is probably the best core set I can think of in a long time. I really liked M15, but Origins was just way over and above.
Yeah, well, it had new Planeswalkers and stuff in it, which was really cool.
Well, but M15 had what did they call it? The last core set designers or something. So they had all sorts of game manufacturers build the Magic cards. So you got, like,
and they had new Planeswalkers in that one too. They had the Garruk, the Relentless Hunter, and a couple others.
Right. So like they can spend some time and energy to put that stuff in core sets, but if you go back in time to like 8th core set, then it's just like, well, here's the first time that the Urzatron lands are black border, and since the original printing, and the first time they could be foiled, and then here's Blood Moon and blah blah blah, but like I can't think of a single card that would be up there with like an Abyssin that they would just throw in. So I don't know. Them using these like from the vaults and just overprinting things inside the set. Like we even had Tormenting Voice printed in the same block twice.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And it was in Commander decks, I think, too.
And I'm just like, really? This seems unnecessary. Now, granted, that was a special weird block where, like, theoretically, you only played with 2 of the blocks at a time, either the first half or the back half, and they wanted to keep then put it in the middle. I don't know. Anyway, so what do you feel about the Magic future financially in the new sets? Like you said, you didn't buy any from the vaults. We only got like a handful, really.
Mm-hmm. And bought it anyway.
They bought out. They sold out the first day.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like you're selling a lot of your boxes right now because it seems like all you're buying is Power 9 stuff.
Yep, only vintage graded stuff. I actually just got like email on some of my graded cards that are coming back this week, which was pretty cool. But I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna make a YouTube video for that when I get them in, actually. But yeah, those boxes, it's just like they're reprinting a lot of stuff too. Like a lot of that stuff in Innistrad, they reprinted Liliana and they reprinted Cryptic Command and stuff like that. So I don't see the only thing cool about having those older boxes is like if I wanted to bust them open and draft them, but now I don't have the time to even do that. So it's like, if I sell some of these boxes, I can use it to put towards boxes or whatever I want to buy, or cards I don't have that, will retain value and continually go up in value because of the rarity of them, because they won't ever reprint that stuff. So I pretty much phased everything out of my collection. Like I have standard cards, but I sold anything over $10 I sold.
So basically, in your mind, you've basically moved out of standard. Well, I know for play wise,
and it was devastating.
Yeah, it was kind of a lower value set, but like Ixalan it's currently got reasonable price values on the cards.
Yeah, and Ixalan's a good set. I'm not saying that they're not making good cards. I like the Ixalan set. I've drafted it on Moto, but it's just like they're gonna reprint all that crap, and it's like I just can't keep up, and the card stock sucks. It's a bad investment unless you're gonna play, and I don't play.
Right. Well, my comment is more along the lines of, because standard usually has a high value for cards of the short lifespan, right?
Yep.
And then modern, if a card is good enough to make it into modern, it's usually going to hover there until they decide to kill its deck.
Or something comes out that's better for the same casting cost or something.
Right. So like a lot of the high value standard cards, they kind of shuffle around in there. But there usually is a pretty clear window of, okay, now I got to sell the set, sell my deck off because things are going to start declining, stuff like that. But now I really don't even know if there's a reason to buy into standard anymore. Well,
there's not, because like a lot of the say there's somebody that doesn't have a lot of money and they want to play F&M competitively or go to some PPTQs, and like whatever the deck is, like Sultai or whatever the deck is at the time, they're like, okay, I need to build this deck because it's one of the better decks, and so they trade for a bunch of cards and then they buy some singles to complete the deck, and so they got their deck built and they start doing really good at F&Ms and PPTQs and start getting more competitive, and then that deck's just too broken and they ban 2 cards in the deck that's worth, that person just has a sour taste in their mouth and they lost a lot of their money. And a lot of those younger players, they're just at that point they're done with Magic altogether because they can't afford it and they can't afford hits like that. And that's happened with like Smuggler's Copter and just a whole bunch of stuff over the years. I mean, there's a lot more examples that I'm not thinking of, but
Well, and I think that we're going to see more and more and more of that here in the next year or two, because we went a really long time without a ban in standard. And then we had a bunch all in a relatively short window.
Emrakul,
Smokeless Copter's Reflector Mage.
Yeah, Reflector Mage was before, and then they had the gate or whatever that gave you energy, banned all the energy decks.
Right. So, like, I think we're going to see more and more standard bannings, which I think is fine. But the reason they did that is because when they changed the rotation schedule in their planning, they could print more busted cards, because at most they would be around was a smaller window of time. So even if you printed a more broken card, it would only affect standard for a smaller window.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had people don't like this fast rotation of standard that all these pros said that they wanted forever and ever and ever. Well, when pros play Magic for 55 hours a week, they get pretty tired of a format. But when us casuals play it for 4 hours on a Friday and maybe another 3 hours some other day during the week, that's a significantly less time frame period to be playing a standard compared to a pro. I probably don't.
Travis, you haven't said much. What do you think about like how sets and stuff are coming out?
Honestly, like for the past month or two, I've really only been showing up to play standard just so I can have something to talk about on the show. Like, for me, it's felt like it's more of an obligation to play the game than it has been a pastime. And the only real time that I actually enjoy playing is when I'm playing either like draft or like when I'm playing a limited format or I'm playing Commander.
So you're saying like the only thing that excites you is Commander and limited formats?
Yeah. Like, I've only been showing up to play standard so that way I have something more to talk about on the show.
That makes sense.
I haven't felt any sort of like actual desire to go play. Because to me, like on the way there, I'm just kind of like, what if I just don't? I could just stay home and
play League or something.
Yeah, just like literally do anything else.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Like the only thing that really gets me excited is drafting or sealed deck, or like I think if I ever go to another Grand Prix, I went to a standard Grand Prix and it didn't end up turning up very good. I think I'm done with that. I think if I'm going to go to another Grand Prix or something, it's going to be a sealed deck.
Yeah, no, okay, so
that excites me to play.
Like the last time we went to Denver, there's like 12 of us that all went to Denver, and it was like me and 4 other people. We just went there to do side events and then go hang out in Denver. Like I played 2 side events and I ended up walking away with like an $80 messenger bag, like the Ultra Pro one on their website.
Yeah.
I ended up walking away with that and like 26 packs, and all I spent was $50 to play a sealed and a draft. And then I went and screwed around in Denver the whole time. So like to me, it wasn't even worth it to go play standard.
Yeah, if and the cost of these events have gone up like crazy for Grand Prix. For standard Grand Prix, they're wanting like $80, $100 for pre-register. I remember when it used to be 25.
Yeah, and like for me, it's just kind of, if I do end up going to another GP or something, and it's a standard event, like if I go, I'm just gonna go to screw around in the side events, and because to me that's just more worth it.
Makes sense. What do you think, Ryan? Are you more excited to play limited formats, or are you still excited to go play standard down at the shop, or what?
I mean, I like just playing Magic regardless. Like obviously for me I'd rather draft over anything. But I like standard enough to the point where I may not always be pumping out the new decks like I used to. Because now, especially doing the full-time streaming, Like I spend a lot of my time either generating content of playing this game or that game or whatever. And I can't afford to play both paper Magic and digital Magic, which would be great.
Oh yeah, hardly anyone can. It's way too expensive.
If you guys would like to help me out with that, you guys are welcome to do so. Just go to the Twitch page and make a donation.
He will do prostitution.
I mean, if you send me a game, I'll play it. I mean, I did play Dream Daddy for a while because people gave it to me. So I'm not afraid to be gay for digital games. But yeah, I mean, I'll still play it. You know, like I said, I put together this Grixis, Hostage Taker, Scarab God, Glintskleeve, Siphoner deck that Frolic, I think, reviewed a couple of weeks ago. And I thought this would look really good. And I played it. I had a lot of fun playing it, but I don't quite think it's right. Like, I need to, now that I played it, I need to take those reflections and try to fiddle with it a little bit.
Well, the other thing is if you're playing standard and you know you're playing here, the meta game is not like it is where these other guys are playing.
Right. Well, yeah. Which is why I started really like I really fallen in love with this this Conley Woods list that I've tweaked around a little bit. That's more board wipey and stuff. Because our metagame here has become so much like, I'm going to kill your first 10 creatures, and now here's my big creature that'll sit there. Which is fine. I don't mind playing that format, but sometimes you want to play something else. So
that's why draft is fun, because there's you don't know what you're gonna get, you don't know what you're gonna draft, you don't know what your opponent's playing, and there's no consistency to what you play or what you're playing against, and I think that's why it's a lot more fun.
I mean, again, though, it for me, a lot of it has to do with what the format is. And if it's new and it feels exciting, which is, I think, the main thing that happens with a draft, right? Because you got the limited pool and you don't know what other people are going to do and you don't know what you're going to do. Like, if you know people, you know their preferences, you kind of get a good idea where they're going to lie. But if you're playing standard, a lot of times people have gotten to one standard deck, or there's usually like 4 people who are tight on standard, and then the rest of the people are just like, well, whatever, I want to play Magic, so I'll play this pile. Now, if you rotate that into like Frontier, which for me is a pretty new and exciting format with a lot of creativity and range to play in, I'm a lot more excited about like Frontier than I am standard right now. But if you take and put me into Modern, which is a pool that like a lot more people seem to be excited for in my area, and again, I think this has to do more with the cost of cards that they have bought into one deck. You pretty much know what people are going to play, with the exception of like 2 people. Like, oh, you're going to play this deck, you're going to play that deck, you're going to play this deck. So you can tune your deck for the metagame of your 8 to 15 person store meta, at least at my shop. So I'm a lot less excited about that than I am, like Frontier, where things are more or less unknown still.
Yeah.
And Standard, my question before that we kind of shifted off, we realized that Travis had said Travis amount of words. But I noticed earlier this week really badly that the pre-sales hype has been really high, even higher than ever before. But then the card has fallen down significantly by comparison. I'm trying to think, for example, I think Hostage Takers, for examples, right? It was a card super high.
Yeah, it was like $20 or something at one point. Now it's like what, $8?
Yeah, that's exactly what, I think it was even higher than that for a while.
Yeah,
but now it has fallen down to this $8 range, where now I feel like, okay, well, I can start picking them up. I'll get my playset now. And the what was it? The Tyrant, Travis, you know what I'm talking about, the big green dinosaur thing.
Yeah, the Carnage Tyrant.
Like, it was $30 for a while, right? Now it's less than 10.
Yeah, like people are holding it so high because it's uncounterable, and then you can't target it. But nobody's really doing anything with green.
We can't play it because it costs 11D.
Well, I mean, it costs 6, but still, like in green, you can do that on turn 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, my question for you, Sean, was going to be, okay, so especially with standard now, is there a place to make money?
Not really. I mean, you can't open boxes and make money. That's for sure. That's why I was done with it. Like, I can't just open boxes and chop some of it up and sell some of the cards and make money. You know, I just don't think you can do that anymore. Like, even the Rudy at Alpha Investments, he stopped doing standard sets. Probably around the same time I did, because you just can't make money off of it anymore, and so there's no reason to open it. Well, mainly because the inventions are gone now, and even then the inventions were tanking like crazy. So um, yeah, I don't think you can make money. Like, and then because of the internet, you like can't like trade and snipe a trade or something like that, or speculate on a card. It's very rare. Like, if you're gonna make money on Magic, you have to speculate on like commander cards or buy vintage stuff,
I don't know. What do you think, T?
or just be a dealer and buy stuff at half price and then resell it for full retail. But then you have to have a storefront for that.
For me, I'm not an investor. I don't really care about the money.
Go ahead, finish your thought, because then I have a nasty comment.
Oh, well, no, that's basically it. It's like I don't really care about the money. I don't invest in the game to make money. I invest in the game to have fun.
How's that foil set coming?
I have what was it? I have like 80 cards left.
What foil set are you making?
Ixalan.
Cool.
And on Friday, I'm about to have a big trade with it. So I'm getting the Search for Ascanta, the Legion's Landing, and then dude's just bringing a bunch of commons and uncommons. And yeah, so I'm about to hopefully come as close as possible before I have to just go online and buy the foils that I need.
See, so the reason I mentioned that is because for me, the only times that I've ever even considered building a foil set was for the financial value of having the full set of foil.
Oh no, I just think it looks pretty.
Yeah, those flip lands will look cool.
Yeah, like they look awesome.
Oh,
another thing I didn't mention earlier, but they're giving away the buy a box packs.
Well, I was just going to ask you. Is that enough of a carrot for you to buy a box now?
I thought about it, and I was all like, even if you pull some good cards and it's got the cool foil lands and I don't have rares or mythics in it, it's all like, it's still not worth. Well, $100 a box or even $90 a box, it wasn't worth it. Like, it makes it more worth it. Like, it's a good promotion, I think, but not from an investment standpoint. Though it was just a money grab from Wizards again, and they did it twice, right? 2 or 3 times they've done it, to where they're like, hey, you get this special pack, buy some boxes. They're trying to create an incentive for more boxes to be bought by consumers, and I don't think it's working.
So I just jumped over to MTG Stocks and looked at their estimated booster box value for a box of Ixalan. So they obviously have a low, a median, and a high. So the low is $50. The median is $108, and the high is $461.
Wow, that's a big gap.
Right. Well, I'm sure that's probably like what a
double full retail.
That's the difference in the mythics is what it's saying here. So like your average mythic is going to be $14, but you can spike to $200. I don't know what that would be, but in the Ixalan
the foil, the best card in the set.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I was just trying to figure out myself. A lot of people who know a lot of my income for doing my job at the arena is in store credit, and I'm actually trying to decide, do I want to grab one of these boxes and snag because they're until supplies run out. I think we still have some. And try to get my hand on a couple of those things because maybe those would spec really high.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I was like, no, like even if I pull something good, it's not worth it. Well, I'm not playing, and just be like, I don't know.
Well,
I think it's a cool promo for people that are already buying like Christmas gifts or they're gonna buy a box anyways. That's awesome.
yeah.
Speaking of Christmas gifts, man, how awful is their gift pack this year?
I don't even know what it is.
They've never had
So
a
you
good
get,
gift pack, by the way.
I mean, they've had the gift boxes; those were pretty all right. But like the gift pack this year, it has two foils, and they're not alternate art. It's Karizev and Metalwork
All right,
Colossus,
I take it back. I do know what you're talking about now.
And
and
they'll
then
look
you
for
get
like 3 packs.
three packs, and then one of each basic land that have like specific art to it.
They're like a gay lance.
No, they're not the Rebecca Gaylands.
Oh.
See, that would make sense
Um,
if they were, because then people who like have a couple and would like to fill out a set so they could do something with them, that would give them a motivation to get those things.
yeah, but it's not even that. It's just like I can't even remember who it is. But then obviously you get a roll down, and then you get some sort of stupid looking poster that has absolutely nothing to do with the current standard.
Well, not only that, I think the MSRP on it was like 20 or $25. I was like, there's only 3
25.
packs in there. Yeah, there's only 3 packs in there.
Well, there's
You can
three
buy like a
pack.
quarter of a box for that much. That's like 9 packs.
It looks like
Yeah.
it's $17 most places.
Yeah, but
But
MSRP
like,
is more than that.
Oh, I'm sure.
but it's like so you get 3 packs. You get two standard cards that aren't even like
They're
Karizev is
premium.
good.
They're premium creature cards, according to the Wizards. The Wizards promotional here.
Yeah, like the only value in it is the lands, and that's because they're exclusive to the gift set. It's kind of like this isn't even worth it.
Yeah.
Unless you open some bombs up in those 3 packs.
Well, see, and
Yeah, but at
okay,
that point, just buy the 3 packs. Save
Yeah, I
yourself
know.
$15.
so I did have a conversation about this with somebody not long ago. I just forgot this was called a gift pack or whatever. This is not for Magic players to buy for themselves. This is for somebody's mom to go into the card shop and go, my son little Johnny plays here on Fridays. What can I get him for Magic related stuff? And I only want to spend $20 or whatever. And they go, well, we got this for $25 or what, and it's got a die and a bunch of lands and packs, and okay, I'll take that.
See, but like
They just
all
need
the
to bring
stores
back. They
here,
need to make it like double the fatness. Like, hey, we're not afraid to use the word fat anymore. We're going to use super big fat chunky fat box.
yeah.
That's what they should.
Well, see, and like the store here, the one that I go to, he got them in, but only because the owner ordered them, and he was just kind of like, "Why would you waste your time on this?" Like, oh, it's just like he's into the sports side of it. He doesn't do anything with the TCG side,
Yeah, this
and
distributor just calling them a junk product.
yeah, pretty much. And then like I was talking to the person who was working there, and he's like, if someone comes in and they're like, "Ooh, what's this?" He's basically just gonna be like, if you want to spend $25, just buy more packs.
Okay, so
Yeah.
MSRP for it is $19.99.
Okay, $19.99.
Yeah, so $20 instead. You can buy, like what, 3 extra packs and still get like it's just more value otherwise.
Okay, and also just to be clear for the information here, they are artist Mark Poole lands known as the Shooting Star lands. But I'm looking at them here, and the weather nice. They're pretty. Oh, I see. They all have a shooting star in the background. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. They're not my favorite lands for sure. But okay, that at least makes a little bit more sense now.
Garbage.
Yeah, I don't know.
Garbage fire investments.
Well, so you get what? You get your 2 foils, your 5 lands, you get a spin down life counter, your mini poster, and 3 packs. 1 from each of the an Omnicut, an Hour Devastation, and an Ixalan.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Again, it's not for that. It's for, oh, I want to buy my nephew something magic related. I know he really likes this game. Oh, here's a product that you can get him.
The 2 premium creatures aren't even from any of those sets.
No.
Good point.
No, but what? But what would you put in those sets?
Oh, Ways of Vista Ball Wizards. They're not even in the 3 sets of the packs that you put in the box.
Yeah. I mean, like, what would you stick in there? Like, you can't.
Probably. I should even say what I was gonna say. I'll let you guys talk.
I was gonna say you can't put in like what, the dragon, which is probably the best card out of Amonkhet. You know, it costs 5 mana and is killing me right now. Glorybringer. And then, like, what else do you even put in there? Like, what's the other premium creature that you stick in there?
Honestly, if you just put in 1 foil Glorybringer, that's worth more than the 2 creatures that they have in there now. Don't even put in a second creature. Just here's one dragon.
Yeah, but
it doesn't like dragons.
But isn't that too much like, 1, the dragon stuff that they just put out, and 2, like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sorry, not Yu-Gi-Oh! The way the Pokemon does it, you get like the regular foil card, and then you get the ultra mega size version of the card, and then you get 3 packs, and
like a GX promo version of it. Yeah. That'd be cool.
I don't know, man.
Like the alternate foil or whatever.
Yeah, but it's already like that. It's already like the Yu-Gi or the Pokemon packs, but worse.
Yeah, way worse.
I mean, that's only because you can't enter those cards onto your Magic Online account and get a free copy. Or get a copy of purchase. I don't know, man. All I know is, like, I've stopped buying packs. If I don't win the packs at draft, or open the packs at draft, or I guess by extension sealed, I don't get new product anymore.
Same.
And I think that mindset is directly linked to what they're doing with the cards right now. And I didn't even think about the card quality and stuff until Sean brought it up this week. And that's part of the reason I thought about trying to invite you on, but you're determined to run out the door. So I'm glad I was able to get you on Facebook and get you in the show. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I feel like my collection's getting tanked super hard. A lot of these cards I did buy because of I wanted to be able to turn around and flip them. And like right now, the only card out of the iconic set that I even remotely care about is Mana Drain. And that's for me to have a personal set of. But if I get rid of the other stuff that still has value, like my dual lands, my Force of Wills, stuff like that, then there's no reason for me to have Mana Drains.
Yep. So, I can't believe they put channels in the set. That was just ridiculous.
Why not? Might as well.
Well, I mean, a draft channel fireball somebody. I think that's cool, but like the value of channels like a quarter.
Yeah.
And it's a mythic in your box. You only get 4 mythics. So you could pour that quarter or you could pull that $80 Mana Drain.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a matter of we're going to put cool cards in regardless of what the value is.
But there's nothing iconic about the set other than like Mana Drain and Flusterstorm.
Channel and Fireball I would say are iconic cards.
Yeah, but there was like they put the 5 casting cost dragon that searches your deck for an artifact and you exile it until it leaves play. Like that should have been like Shivan Dragon. Shivan Dragon was iconic.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I feel like they're intentionally going out of the way to kill the aftermarket sales. Like they really just want to drive pack sales 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Which I think is in their mind is probably really strong for them, right? Because that's where they make all their money. It's not like they're selling singles. Maybe they should change their model slightly where they sell some singles.
But then there'd be no reason to buy packs, though.
I don't, I don't
Because
know.
then stores wouldn't order packs. Distributors wouldn't. I think that would completely crush their business model.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think they're trying to kill the aftermarket in favor of growing the pack sales. I think the moves that they're making are intentional.
I think it's more they're trying to make it more affordable for new players to come in, not necessarily crush the aftermarket sales. I think it's more they're concerned about trying to get more players into the game that can afford some of the other cards.
Well, they can't. The way they're making it work, you can't afford to buy standard cards because the standard used. Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like standard used to be the place you went in to get started because the cards were cheap. And yeah, you'd have a couple of high dollar cards, but you could play without them. Travis Knight built this whole damn podcast around playing with cards that other people think are bad, but they're not. Like that's the whole point to this podcast.
There used to be 3 sets a year. It was a 3-set block. That was like part of standard or whatever was going on at the time. Now it's a 2-set block and a 2-set block, and then a promotional box, and then commander decks, and then another promo box.
And it's stuff. The learn to play cards are legal.
It's too much. They need to go back to a 3-set block rotation. I think 3 sets a year, make standard go like a year and a half to 2 years. And then, they'll be printing less sets and they'll be cranking out less product, but more people will be able to afford it and stay in the game longer.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if going back is the way to help. Personally, I think what they should do is they should, with this Magic Arena, they could do a lot of stuff if they put a code for a mini pack for the arena inside each pack. So now suddenly you have, okay, I'm going to get my 15 cards legit in the pack of my paper cards, and now I'm going to be able to go and open some cards online, like the Pokemon model.
Which is a great model.
Right, which is perfect. I would, if I only had to pick one of the 2 games to play, I would probably transition completely to Pokemon, which sounds weird, but it's way more cost effective to play.
Yeah, I'm already playing League of Legends basically, and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and League of Legends is free, absolutely 100% free. You just got to download it, and then PUBG was like $30.
So I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like you need to transition away from trying to milk every dollar you can from every facet. And I know that that's anti what they want to do, but they're losing the goodwill of a lot of the customers. And there's going to be a breaking point. It's kind of like at an MMO, or the fact that a lot of these games now are just like total DLC content. I literally watched a video today by NPC Man. Have you guys ever seen this guy? He does videos where he pretends to be the NPC out of a video game. And they had a guy come up through the forest, and he's standing there. It's like, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to go past this point. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? I just bought this game for $80. I'm getting through here. He's like, sorry, if you would like to go to this area, it'll be $4.99 US or 5,000 shards or whatever. And the guy's like, okay, well, I've got a bunch of shards. I just need, like 500 more. And the guy's like, yeah, that's really close. You can get shards by killing rats in the forest. And the guy's like, really? He's like, yeah. And he goes over and he stabs a rat, and he's like, sorry, man, not that one. He goes over and stabs another one and gets 1 shard. He's like, yeah, this is a bloody fun game. I'm glad I spent $80 on this piece of S. And that's
like. So did you hear about Battlefront 2?
Mm-mm.
So it came out, and then there was almost immediately there was this huge backlash from the Star Wars community, because instead of it being like how League, you install the game and then you do not have to buy anything, but you can earn everything.
Yeah, you can play to earn.
Yeah. Battlefront 2 had it so you could pay to play. And then everybody started, just throwing huge fits about it. And within like a day or two, Star Wars basically was like, all right, we screwed up. And then they completely took away the pay to play and put it back to, play to earn. But so many people had such a sour taste in their mouth from it that a lot of people have already returned the game within a day of owning it.
Yeah, so like my MOBA of choice is HOTS, compared to League of Legends or whatever. But Standing Stones, they had their MOBA. I don't think it was live for a week before it died. For kind of similar-esque reasons. Management decided that they were going to try to milk more dollars out of it right away. And I take that comparison and I feel like that's a direct comparison to like collectible card games right now. Especially those that have online playability. It's like,
Yeah.
All right, standard rotates. All right, sweet. I'm going to get into standard. Sorry. You cannot proceed to this tournament until you invest, $150 or whatever it is
600
to be able to play stand. Not even competitively, just to play. You know? Like, sorry, half of your cards are not legal. You must go buy 60 more cards or whatever.
You shall not pass.
Right, and I feel like that's really aggravating for people, and I think it's driving people away. So I'm not sure what they need to do to fix it. Whether they can do 4 blocks a year, and if they could figure out the spacing to where it's not such a pain, that's fine. And I don't mind more blocks a year. Again, though, but I'm not buying boxes, and I don't buy packs. I just draft on Fridays. And I typically draft, I pay for 2 people to draft, and we draft, and between the 2 of us, one of us usually is in the top 2 or 3. So we end up coming home with the cost of the draft in packs plus, 2 or 3 bonus packs. And that's good enough for us. But a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people want to play competitively, and they want to have the best deck. And that means you got to invest more money. And when all of a sudden that trade-off starts to happen, you're going to lose people. And I've seen it happen. I've literally watched people that, when Travis was here, would play Magic nonstop. And now I see those people maybe once a month playing Commander. Because they've just been driven out of they've been driven out of every other format because of the cost. I think that's a bloody shame. And I think Wizards doing a lot of it on purpose, probably under instructions by their overlord.
The corporation.
Which I don't mind. I don't mind. The corporation needs to make money too. The corporation can do a lot of stuff. And again, they're making a big purchase. But you're going to whip this horse too hard, and it's going to die.
I really think Commander is the best thing that's ever happened to Magic ever. And without that, I think Magic would be crippled right now without it.
I mean, I don't know. Again, I think the idea of using the drafts, for me, it's a draft or sealed, but mostly a draft. Is the format that keeps me going.
No, I'm gonna agree with Sean on this, because there's cards that are like $20-$30 that never see any sort of play in any format other than Commander. And it's like, you can't even take this to a competitive event. You can't do anything with it. It's just a win more card. And people are like, yeah, I'll spend money on that. I don't care.
Well, not only that, they know it's not going to get banned, or very rarely stuff gets banned in Commander, so it's not like they're going to lose their investment.
Yeah.
And plus, even if they wanted to take a break from Magic because they got personal stuff or work going on or kids or college or whatever, they can still keep their Commander deck and then just pick it up whenever and go down to the shop and play with whoever's playing. Or Standard, you can't really take a break. You got to stay on the ball.
Well, I don't necessarily know that's true. People like you, this is off. I think a little bit of a pot calling the kettle black here, Sean. I've literally seen you buy a deck the week of a PPTQ and then top 8, or even take one home. So like you don't have to stay on top of it. You just have to.
It helps though.
I'm sure it does. Again, the guy currently sitting on the top of our hill, a gentleman named Chris McMahon. He's played more Magic this in the last year and a half than he's ever played before, and you can tell. He's won like basically back-to-back PPTQs. You saw him on GP Denver's coverage playing against Paulo, taking down that match. Like he's putting in the work and he's getting the results. But at the same time, I see people like you and I see people like Jackie that turn around, they play kind of sparingly, and then or maybe they keep up on drafts just to keep their fundamentals sharp, and they turn around and they're playing in the finals of a PPTQ, or they take off to go to a GP and day 2 and end up somewhere in like a payout range, and they're like, yo, yeah, man, like I played Magic for 2 days and they paid me $500. This is great. Why would I do anything else?
Yeah, part of it, I mean, you don't ever lose the skill, but like it's good to stay fresh on the decks and new mechanics of new sets and a whole bunch of other things. But like when I lived in Oklahoma City, was the best I've ever been. I played every weekend, every Friday, every Saturday. I played with a lot of semi-pros kind of thing, a lot of people that won Grand Prix. And I had, no problem going to a PPTQ or I think it was PTQs at the time, and just annihilating these pros because I played all the time. I was at the top of my game, but like you have to dedicate every weekend to it, and then you got to stay up on article coverage and play test a little bit during the week on Moto or whatever with friends or whatever to like get to that top level. You have to do those things, period.
Yeah, I think
like you can still get lucky and just show up at a Grand Prix and win, but it's highly unlikely compared to the pros that play all week and play every weekend at FNM and stuff.
Well, again, that's the matter of the pros that can put in that 40 hours, 50 hours of work every single week, playing Magic, trying new things, experimenting. So, I mean, it's tough for the layman to compete with these kind of professional players. But again, I think it is possible. At the same time, though, it gets really expensive. Like you're like, yeah, I'm gonna play at this PPTQ, Sam. What deck should I play? I give you a deck list. You're like, that's $1,000 to play in a standard term.
Yeah.
You asked.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Like, well, here's a budget deck. Okay, well, what's the budget deck? $250? I'm not buying that either.
Yeah.
Get out of here. So, yeah, I think something's got to change. Something's got to give. And I'm not sure what it is. Our own local tournaments are having problems. We're having a hard time getting locals to come to play for PPTQs. In fact, I think December we're going to try as part of the payout, and I'm not sure for which event. But we're gonna give out free invitations to the upcoming PPTQ, non-transferable invitations.
That'll be cool.
Like, come to our Friday Night Magic, win like our standard Friday Night Magic, that next standard PPTQ. It's not going to be everyone. It's just going to be like the month before. And then you can, this way we're trying to get some of the locals who they play a lot of standard, but they don't make time to come to the PPTQ because they're afraid to just get beat by all these out-of-towners or whatever. Now they're not investing anything besides their time to show up, just to try to get them back into the slightly more competitive scene. And I don't know, hopefully it'll work. Anyway, I realize we have gone a little long. So I just real quick, let's talk just a little bit about I have the note in here, shitty people are shitty. And I'm not totally up to date on this story. I've watched it on Twitter. I don't go to GPs a lot ever. So I'm not firsthand basis with the cosplayers or whatever, but the idea is cool. Like we did a whole show looking at cosplay photographs one day, and
it's hot.
Say what?
It's hot.
I mean, it's awesome, right? Like,
well, even some of the, like, not the dudes, I'm not going to say the dudes are hot, but some of the dudes that do it too have some fucking badass outfits that you can tell they spend a lot of time and effort into.
I'm talking about, like, cosplay. Like, I go to Gen Con. and some of the other cons. And when someone shows up in costume, it's great. You know,
Yep.
Which is fun too. I think it should be mandatory to drink at those things. Like you have to drink alcohol and dress up.
Well, I don't know about mandatory, but highly suggested maybe, or highly approved of. But like me and my friends, we all discussed dressing up as like the 8-bit characters from Final Fantasy, like Black Mage, Red Mage, stuff like that. Like we were kicking around the idea of going making costumes like that because they would be relatively easy to do. One of the first Gen Cons that I went to, I just made, like, they had make a giant foam weapon, and we just built it, made them the first day. And we were like kings of the con. Like, everyone wanted to see our big weapons. We got pulled into booths. Like, we got to meet people that we never got to meet without them. And it just opens things. So to see a cosplayer, especially one of the big name ones, like
Sprankle.
Sprankle. I keep wanting to say Sparkles, but it's not right. But that's because my brain doesn't work that way. But I'm not exactly sure what the whole controversy is. But I know
it happened, but it's like one of the social media guys had harassed this gal, like not like really badly, but like
enough.
Like she had got caught crying on a podcast saying she needed more subs so she could afford to survive or something like that. He called her out that you shouldn't just be calling people out for their money for Patreon just so you can survive because you're a lady with female parts and money for the hobby and not to survive and live off of.
Oh, well, in that case,
she said she's doing magic and stuff like last week and blamed him for it, but he hadn't even said anything to this gal in the last 6 months. So like they're saying that he's saying, and a lot of other people are saying that it was like a scapegoat witch hunt to like get him in trouble, and now all the other YouTubers are giving him crap and he's getting death threats and stuff like that. But I don't even think he meant like it's weird. You'd have to go through and watch a ton of videos, but like I think a lot of it's unjustified that all these other YouTubers are calling this guy out, because I don't think the guy's a complete shithead like me, where he's, or like Travis, where we're assholes, but we're not like complete pieces of shit.
Well, see, okay, so on that whole note or whatever, the dude has already been blacklisted by Wizards. Like, so he was already in like bad standings with the company, but so like
and they're trying to get his Twitter account shut off and his YouTube account shut down and stuff like that.
Right. See, that's like going too far, because I mean, if it's as not bad as you say it is, then it's kind of like, yeah.
Even the things he said that were kind of like demeaning or harassing, like they weren't directed at like directly towards her. And it's like, if you can't take some criticism, then you need to go get lost, because like everyone gets criticism. And like I don't know, even like if you said something mean to me, I'm not gonna lose my shit over it and quit Magic.
Well, this is my quick 2 cents, and Travis and I have argued about this off the podcast, on the podcast, but not necessarily about this particular subject matter. But if somebody is saying or doing something that you don't like, as long as it's not crossing the few laws that we already have, then it's just a matter of poor taste. And you either need to basically tell them off or ignore them, or just walk away or block them, or whatever you want to do to get them out of your life, because you don't need that crap in your life. But they can say and do and whatever they want, right? That's thankfully America. But we have had this shift, and I've noticed it really hardcore this last year, and it's been more and more, and this is where Travis and I argue a lot, is that because someone is doing something that is stupid and you disagree with and you hate, it doesn't mean that you should make them shut up and you should take away their opportunity to make a living or punish them that way. Don't support them, So, I'm not even sure who this guy is. This guy doesn't like what Sprangles. Is that what you right? Sprangles.
Sprankle.
Sprinkle.
CS Sprinkle or C Sprinkle.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say C something, but he doesn't like what she's doing. You don't have to go shit on him. But at the same time, because he did go badmouth her or whatever, or talk bad about whatever in general, or say, hey, if you can't do it, whatever. Like I'm a full-time streamer, and I could use your help and support, like I'm not going to deny it, but at the same time, I'm not going to tell you have to do it or break down or whatever. I'd appreciate it. But at the same time, people are turning around and shitting on him super hard.
Yeah.
Let's shut down your Twitter. Let's shut down your Facebook. Let's kill your opportunity to make it.
The thing is, like, a lot of them, like, he called her out because of what she had did that he didn't agree with, which I think's fine because, like, let me think of a good example. Like, there was a long time ago, there was a Magic monthly box that you could order, and that whoever was running that business was sending them to all the main YouTubers that did Magic and said, hey, we'll hook you up with these for free if you promote it on your YouTube channel. Well, it ended up turning into a big scam, and like there for like 3 months, you'd auto get withdrawn from your account for the Magic box and never get it. And this guy just ran off with like $400,000. So like he was called out because it was fraud. And like, what's that one trading Puka Trade?
Yeah,
Yep.
Puka Trade got hammered out and called out too. I think it's a similar situation, just with a cosplayer that's a female begging for money because she can't have a real job and pay her bills. I think that's more along the lines of what had happened.
Yeah, and that could be the case. I don't know. All I know is that you can't. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Sure.
And if this guy's in the wrong and you are entering the wrong to shut down this wrong, that doesn't make either one of you right. That just makes
exactly.
you both. And that's where my view is. And this is where Travis will tell me that I'm wrong, though. So it's fine. Travis can tell me how I'm wrong.
Oh, like I'm really indifferent about this because I feel if he was actually harassing her to the point where he was, calling her out specifically and just, berating her and like, just being completely harassing towards her, then yeah, there's a point where, you just don't deal with it anymore. But if it's, like I said earlier, if it's as mundane as what Sean was saying, I don't.
I mean, it was a little mean, but I don't think it's something you cry over and quit Magic over. It's just like another one of the YouTubers, MTG Lion, has given Alex Burton Cheaty Face. He's made a couple of videos of him basically calling him a piece of shit, and a lot of people agree with that because he's a fucking cheater. So, like, I think it's I think that stuff's fine. Like, your freedom of speech. I mean, he's not like calling. It's just a different example, but like, I don't think what had happened was that bad. But then this guy got all this backlash from all the main YouTubers and wizards and everything else when he was just expressing his opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, the calling the dude out for cheating, yeah, that's like, that's one thing. It's like, don't cheat. It, there's a system of play for a reason, but telling someone that they can't ask for money just so that they can survive. I mean, that's like panhandlers exist. Now we just have the internet where we can panhandle and hopefully entertain people while we're panhandling.
I mean, that's what this podcast is. That's what my stream is every single day.
Exactly.
I do these things because, one, I love them. Two, I think I'm reasonably okay at it. And I think that when people come and they watch the show or they listen to the show or they watch the stream, they have a good time. Like, I like feeling appreciated. Someone kicks me $1. I'm like super proud. I'm like, wow, you like this so much that you are willing to give up your dollars so I could buy a pack of ramen. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like,
come on, you bought at least 3 packs.
for that $1, I probably did. Once they took their cut, though, like the PayPals and everything else in between, there's probably 3 packs of ramen. You're right.
Right.
But I'm super grateful and I appreciate it. And I put the plug in. I say, like, subscribe, follow these videos, whatever. Go visit the Twitch page. I mention all that stuff. So, am I going to become big enough and popular enough? This guy's going to start calling me out. I don't know, but if he does, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send him a picture of my balls.
The other thing was, I think I forgot to mention this. So there was a card in Unglued, but it's like a guy. It's an Unglued card that's like a guy, but it looks like a girl, and so it looks like the CS Sprinkle chick. I think he had made a meme about it that, hey, look, they printed CS Sprinkle in the Unglued, or the whatever the new Unglued set is. Can't tell if it's a girl or a guy, because you know how much the Wizards and everyone's been promoting gender equality and blah blah blah, and he doesn't agree with that, which I respect it, but I think that was part of it too.
Yeah, well, that's the bit of it that I caught, I think, and again, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, my views are different, but I respect other people's opinions, and I'm not going to cry about it and just quit Magic because of somebody said.
I mean, if it doesn't affect me one-on-one, then I don't care. We have trans friends, we have gay friends. Like, I just don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't affect your life.
They're all good people.
And my whole thing is, as long as they're not hurting anyone physically or financially, then let them do it. Exactly. That's their life.
Exactly. Well, I think, did we cover it? I don't know. Travis had a butt there.
Well, I was going to say, it's like,
not being crybabies on all the YouTube channels, because all I see is a whole bunch of crybabies and people that don't have tough skin, that can't take some criticism or even trolling or talking shit or whatever you want to call it. It's like, I deal with that every day with customers and sales, and it doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
On the other hand, there are some people out there it does bother, it does affect them more, and you can't tell people that what they're feeling is wrong. You could just tell them, "Hey, man, like, I'm sorry you're hurting.
Well,
anything I can do to help, I would do it."
And females are more emotional than males just by hormone, which is 100%.
I was gonna say, there's even like, I can't remember which comedian it was, but he was like, "Oh, you're offended? So what?"
Sounds like a Bill Burr joke to me.
What's that gonna do for anybody? Like,
right? Exactly. Either shutting down me and having my ability to say or do what I want.
Yeah, it's like either get over it or just don't. That's on you.
Right.
Like, come back with something else. But I mean, shutting down someone else's entire way of life just because they said some mean things about you, like, that's going to bring up some whole nother level of pettiness that, just
doing something stupid because somebody else is doing something stupid doesn't help. Doesn't help at all.
Right.
And you guys got to think these YouTubers have 100,000 subscribers, some of them, and you could think some of what was going on was just for attention, to get more subs or get more views or whatever you want to call it, because they actually financially benefit from views.
I'm sure.
Unlike you.
Yeah, I'll eventually, pretty soon. Like, we're close to turning on ads on this channel. Probably next month we'll be turning on ads here.
But you're not gonna do anything too crazy to get views.
Oh, man,
you're not gonna go.
Travis and I are gonna make out when we get to 1 million subscribers.
Send it. See, that'd be gay, but it'll never happen.
If you guys don't want that to happen, give us 1,000,001 subscribers.
No, you donate. You donate to the stream or sub the stream, and then we won't make out. If we get 1 million subbers, then that'll cancel out the million subscribers.
So. Oh, okay. So either way, we are now calling out for more money. So
yeah, that too.
Oh,
they will prostitute too. They are male. They will prostitute for money. I guarantee it.
I mean, not to quote Sean at the beginning of the show or anything, but $20 is $20.
That should be the name of the show. Is I'm not gay, but $20 is $20 for the podcast.
Well, unfortunately, it's not. But maybe that'll be the spinoff. But for right now, you can check out this and most past episodes at samusgrobo.com as soon as I get off my ass and get them posted. You can send us an email, the number 2, trollsbrew@gmail.com. You can follow the Twitch page, twitch.tv/samusgrobo, for wonderful content, mostly me playing video games. Of course, you can also follow Travis at TurtlePower319 if you'd like to see how he hates everybody and wants to be left alone, which is what I'm going to get that up on the screen. Which has basically been his Twitter for the last week and a half. But you can also follow me at Samus Garobo on Twitter. Sean, throw out your Twitter again. I follow you, but I can never remember what it is.
If you guys want to harass me for anything I said, I'm more than happy with any trolling comments. I'm perfectly fine. You won't hurt my feelings. I won't stop playing Magic or collecting vintage cards. It's at Boostin Tofu, which is BOOSTNTOFU.
So there you go, everybody. With that, that's a wrap. Travis, closing thoughts, buddy? Thoughts at all?
I'd say harass more people.
I actually enjoy getting harassed by people like Travis.
I never like when Travis harasses me. He goes way too far and hurts my feel.
Haha, you have feelings.
I didn't say feelings. I said feel.
You have feel.
I do have feel.
Trolling everybody.
Troll on, everybody!
Peace.
Sean, this is where you get to say troll on. Not peace or any shit.
Troll
on.
Keep your troll on.
Damn you, Sean.